Hello, friends. Welcome to today's daily devotion. I'm Kerry Wood, pastor of the Goldston Methodist Church, and we're continuing the domino effect, the ways in which God is doing more and more, tipping over places in our lives to be fully conformed into His image. This week, we're talking about how Christ is in us. And today we're looking in the second chapter. We're turning out of chapter 1 into chapter 2. Today we're reading chapter 2, verses 1 and 2 out of the book of Colossians. Hear now these words. I want you to know how hard I am contending for you and for those at Laodicea, and for all who have not met me personally. My goal is that they may be encouraged in heart and united in love, so that they may have the full riches of complete understanding, in order that they may know the mystery of God, namely Christ, in whom are hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. Now, you know, when Paul wrote this letter, he didn't have it divided up by chapter and verse. And so when we look from 1:28 and 29 into 2:1 and 2, it's really just a continuation of the thought processes. There's no dividing line here. This is something that our modern minds and our modern way of dividing up the scriptures makes us create a division where no division exists. For Paul is saying we need to become mature followers in Jesus, and I want you to know how hard I am contending for you and those others in Laodicea, and for everyone else who's not met me personally. Now, why in the world is Paul caring about people he doesn't know? Do you care about people you don't know? I'm curious, because I think that when push comes to shove, we do care about others as much as we may pretend that we don't. It's only our sinful selfishness that causes us to do that. But think about responses to natural disasters, the hurricanes that have hit the United States, in Florida twice, and up into Georgia and North Carolina and Kentucky and Tennessee, and the responses that people have made to help out those who suffered so greatly. I don't know these people who lost their homes in the floods, but I care about them. If I can care about them physically, then Paul says I can care about them spiritually as well. And I care about you, church in Colossae. Paul, remember, has not met them either, but he's writing to them to say, my goal is that they and you may be encouraged in heart and united in love. Now, one more thing to make clear. Paul, when he talks about these others that he's not even met, that he cares about them as individuals, but even more, he cares about them communally. For Paul, personal identification is much less important than it is for 21st century Americans. In us, individuality is everything. That's why we have so many people saying, well, you've got to refer to me as this, or you've got to refer to me as that, or I present myself this way, and you have to accept me in the way I present myself. And we have all of these different ways of presenting our self-centered identities that Paul says maybe, just maybe, we should be looking at our communal identity, and that communal identity isn't out of us, but it's out of Jesus. This is the mystery of God, namely Christ, in whom are hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. My friends, all the ways in which we choose to identify ourselves these days, all the ways in which we impose labels, either labels to ourselves or labels to others, those are indicative of the self-centered, sinful natures that are running rampant through all of us. If Paul were from Texas, he'd be saying, all y'all need to know this mystery of God and how He forms Himself in us so that we together are encouraged in heart and united in love, and we receive the full riches of the complete understanding of the mystery of God. That's more wonderful than any earthly identification. How are you doing with your own identity? Are you relying on yourself and your own sense of who I am? Or are you relying on Jesus and letting Him make you into the best you through Him that He has created you to be? The beautiful thing about individuality is when we let it go, that's when we actually do become our best selves. And I'll see you tomorrow for our next daily devotion.